So Steven Crowder is by no means done. He's still going to be a force for evil out there doing his wicked works. But let's just calls it like it is. The man has been exposed to the greater world for what his ideology results in. He's constantly talking about a woman's place being all these places that are coincidentally below men. Well, what does that look like at home? At home, that's an abusive relationship. That's what it looks like. And for exposing this, I think in part we have to give credit to a champion of decency in the early 21st century, Sam Seder. Let's have a look at the Majority Report with one of the funniest Emma Vigeland moments I've ever seen, discussing the downfall of Steven Crowder.
Steven Crowder, despicable guy, made millions and millions of dollars by being a homophobe, transphobe, a racist, a misogynist. He is in some hot water now for, the way that he's been monetizing his kids in the divorce. And I mean, just what amazes me with this guy is he's been doing this for a long time. Mm-hmm. Like when Ethan Klein invited me on and we confronted him, and like he handled it so poorly. His first reaction is like, "Oh my God, what a nightmare!" And he was trying to be sarcastic, I think.
I really want to really underline this moment so the internet never forgets it. Steven Crowder fled. Let's see if Sam explains the context. If not, oh boy, I will.
But it was clear, like he couldn't even manage that. And then when he admitted that he'd been monitoring our show because he was so afraid at the idea that I would come on and debate him, like, what difference does it make whether you debate me or Ethan? Do you you could do
the 15-second background. So Steven Crowder was going to debate Sam Seder, and then he backed out. Over years, he kept fleeing from Sam Seder's debates because Steven Crowder would say he'd debate anybody, but he kept debating college students. So when Sam Seder stepped up, it appears that Steven Crowder's dad advised him not to do it, knowing that Sam would wipe the floor with him. Well, Sam stood in for Ethan Klein, who is not a debate guy, who was challenged by Steven Crowder, of course, to debate. And when Sam appeared on his stream, Steven Crowder panicked so badly that he revealed his fear of Sam Seder, his sheer terror of the left dread that is Sam Seder, the cold finger of death that comes with debating this man. And he revealed that he, of course, had been monitoring Sam Seder's show just to make sure he never had to debate that man. That's how afraid of Sam Seder Steven Crowder was. And then after, the Sam appeared on his show, Steven literally fled from his own set, and then went to the hospital to have his heart worked on. Sam Seder will introduce you to God if you dare debate him.
The topics, but to admit that he had been monitoring the show was basically saying, like, I've been terrified of this happening, and it happened.
He didn't even mean to admit it. He just got so scared in the moment that it just came out.
How do you not have that type of self-control? And then the dude, when he's like faced with not being coddled by his, what was he, on Blaze TV, I guess? Yeah. He somehow thinks that he's going to make these other conservatives look bad because they're asking for an exploitive contract. That's like fundamental to their ideologies. And he somehow thinks that's going to make people sympathize with him. He just undercut his own ideology. And then 4 months after Candace Owens says something that hints that she might know about his divorce and the way that he acted.
It's spiraling, she said.
He, out of the blue, basically says, I'm going to protect my children by not talking about my divorce. And nobody was talking about his divorce.
Yeah, also I picked wrong.
Yeah, and I picked wrong.
That's the one mistake he made.
I complained about like the state of Texas giving my wife the right to file for a divorce, essentially. Like she shouldn't have that right.
Which, by the way, was weird but believable, but also apparently not true because he apparently made the first moves toward divorce by getting a lawyer.
Well, that could have been a power play, much like, only having one car despite being a millionaire.
And then she comes out with, releases this information. And the thing for him to do throughout all of this would have been, look, I've gotten divorced. It's no fun. Neither one of us probably acted in the way that we would hope, just like most people who go through divorces that are rancorous. It's ugly and I don't like it, but this is all I want to say about it. I wish her well. And, the fault lies probably with both of us. Maybe more. I mean, this is an easy thing
That's what
to sort of say,
do. Yeah.
and it's really the only appropriate thing to do. I mean, I can see talking about your divorce if you're like, working through it, and you think that there's some help and advice, and explain your mistakes. That's not what he was doing, and so he never does this. She comes out with this stuff, and then he comes out. Remember, just a week ago, he was saying he wanted to protect his kids. Now he's talking about releasing his ex-wife's medical records in part of this like growing war.
Yeah, before this clown opens his mouth, I just want to stress, when you see him there, flapping his lips, remember that his enemies in this situation are his soon-to-be ex-wife, or I guess his ex-wife now, who was pregnant with his 2 children when he was hollering at her and telling her to give dogs medication and refusing to allow her to use their one car while he was sitting on his duff at home. That's who this guy is. But okay, let's see what other clownery he's got to say.
I commented on my ongoing divorce on Tuesday, requesting privacy in the best interest of the family, but also by court order agreed upon by all parties. Look, broken marriages are ugly, and in them people do ugly things. Myself, of course included, I would never claim otherwise. However, due to recent misleadingly edited leaks to the tabloid press without context and not subject to consequences of the court, well, if not privacy, the next best option is truth. So today, I have filed a motion to officially unseal all files as they relate to the matter of legal record. Finances, relevant medical records, including mental health history or evaluations, depositions, and any motions or sanctions from the courts of Texas.
Remember, this guy's ex doesn't have a show for which to air their grievances on. He's trying to make this seem like they're in some sort of a mighty back and forth. This guy has a show. His ex doesn't. This guy has theoretically millions of fans, any one of which might act a little crazy. His ex doesn't. Just if you're the sort of person that watches this guy, you should understand that's what you're supporting with your views.
I will not be.
There's a reason I use every possible opportunity to filter this stuff through a channel which is, not contributing to evil to view.
Leaking private marital information to the press, but if the privacy agreements are not respected by all parties, I will address all that is a matter of irrefutable legal record in full context next week.
What was the context in which Steven Crowder's sitting on his ass as his wife, who's 8 months pregnant with 2 babies, not just one, but 2, smoking a cigar, telling her to do her wifely duties and give the dogs medicine despite her concerns that the medicine would be toxic to the children. Pro-life Steven Crowder saying, just put on some gloves. I'm just going to sit on my ass and I need to call my friends. What context would that have been kind of more appropriate in, is my question.
He's going to try and say that she deserved all of it because she has mental issues. And what is also interesting is
as
that,
opposed to him,
Right.
as opposed to Steven Crowder, the bastion of mental stability here, right?
it's clear that he has an NDA of some sort.
Wait a minute. Oh, Jesus. I need that from Emma Vigeland one more time. Look at this eyebrow. Or not eyebrow. Look at the eye flutter. Oh, I feel you, Emma. Watch
Right?
this.
It's clear that
No. Here we go.
she
This is my favorite Emma Vigeland moment in history thus far.
has mental issues. And what is also interesting is
As
that,
opposed to him,
Right.
as opposed to Steven Crowder, the bastion of mental stability here, right?
it's clear
As opposed to Steven Crowder, she says. Yeah, Emma. Oh my God. I adore that human being. She can't stand the audacity. I love it.
that he has an NDA of some sort, as he claims that, like,
And me howling.
and
No
it's
penalties from the court. It's
Yeah.
like saying, can you tell my wife to shut up before I have to do more?
And it's clear that the NDA that he had, or whatever agreement that they had to be quiet, was about court records and proceedings within the divorce, and not like what actually went on outside of the divorce, the confines of what was raised within the legal battle. So this is information that apparently never probably made it within the context of the divorce, and therefore she cannot be legally sanctioned for releasing it. It's just information. And I suspect this also explains why we did not see some of this other audio that is his name Yashar Ali?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Has, because that stuff could be seen on background, and maybe she could be sanctioned if she released that. This is complete conjecture on my part. And so that's what's going on here. But the guy is going to war with his children's mother. And let's be clear here that he started this whole thing ostensibly to protect the children, and is now using his platform to target his ex-wife, really potentially jeopardizing the children in an extreme way. I mean, this is, like, look, in the context of divorces, I certainly am aware of stories, not fortunately, to the extent that, we did anything right in our divorce, we never did this. But people will do stuff to hurt the other person that involves the children. And they'll do it in, like, it's done in the context of the divorce or the proceedings. And, invariably it's difficult to the children. To do it this publicly.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be clear, this is not like paparazzi is sniffing around trying to find out what happened during the Crowder divorce. He is using his children and his platform as a way of punishing her. It is so demented, but also, frankly, completely consistent with what this guy has done with his platform. This conservative sort of ideology. We see it with libs of TikTok. We saw it with Tucker Carlson.
I am not going to repeat what Sam's about to say. I just want to really bring everybody's attention to this part in particular. Because here we have a specific person, Steven Crowder's ex, and it's easy to forget that this guy does this every single day. Every single day. So by all means, empathize with Crowder's ex, but remember what Sam Seder is about to tell you.
This is what we saw with Bill O'Reilly and Tiller. I mean, this is all part of a whole. This is not in any way unique. It's just that because his fan base is made up of people who want to attack trans people, want to attack gay people, want to attack broadly women who want any autonomy. They haven't seen it so clearly. But now he's crossing the line, and it's becoming obvious to his audience what his tactics are. And maybe some of them are realizing, like, hey, wait a second. Weaponizing this platform against his ex-wife is bad, but also weaponizing this platform against, a random trans person or a random gay person or all trans people or all gay people, maybe that's wrong too. But this is what they do.
It's what the abuse that he advocates for looks like in practice. And I mean, it's about hierarchies and white male domination of everybody, as Sam says, right? It's gay people, trans people, but within the home, it's of a woman. And just to return to the point, like from earlier, I am hung up on the car thing because we know that Crowder was just offered $50 million or whatever from the Daily Wire, and we know that he makes a lot of money, and yet he still thinks that it's incumbent upon him to make his wife his maid. Where, I mean, I don't think he has an ideological opposition to having a few more cars because of climate change, or for having someone around the house who could do things for them because of the labor practices. My guess is that that's not how he feels. So the point is that it's just about power. And it's also...
She had to ask permission to use the vehicle.
There you go. And like, it's also about power too, in that he's using his platform for this threat. Because, like, not to use Candace Owens' point as a reference, but I mean, she's right about this one thing, using it to her advantage, very cynically for sure.
Before she says that, I just want to say, there's the what you can do, by the way. Bring it to people's attention that this is how these folks operate. Bring it to people's attention that this is what the other side of the ideology they preach looks like. We're going to get to that more in about 60 seconds. But this is the home life of somebody that thinks and acts like Steven Crowder does. Andrew Tate, all that nonsense he was talking, what did it look like at home? It looked like literally keeping women enslaved. Enslaved. Don't let people forget that.
But that his wife doesn't have a platform. Like, she doesn't have the ability to come on there and speak to I don't know how many millions of people tune into Crowder's show and speak about her grievances. Like, he took the first shot. Maybe someone in her family spoke to Yashar Ali and said that out there. But the point is that he made it public to monetize it. She chose to try to take some of her power back and say, like, no, this is what the abuse looked like. And now he's threatening to release her medical records. That's the guy that Crowder is. He could have taken this as an opportunity for self-reflection, but that would be a little scary for him, because inside of his mind and inside of his heart, it's a very dark place, and he doesn't want to go there.
Just a fantastic recap by the Majority Report. Okay, so why are we talking about Steven Crowder? I mean, really? Well, it's because even though this is his personal life, we're at a point where we need to draw attention to this. We can't just assume other people know this. A lot of his fans, a lot of the fans of Andrew Tate, a lot of the fans of Ben Shapiro, they think that when you treat women like objects, when you treat people like things, They think the end result is like a utopia. They think, oh, we're going to have an end to all this deviance and all these other secondary things they view as secondary, like, school shootings, crime in the streets, whatever else they can attribute to people not living the kind of horror show lives that they pitch on air. They think it's a utopia that this builds. It isn't. What it results in is some pig puffing on a cigar in front of his pregnant wife, telling her to go give the dogs the medication, making her get an Uber instead of taking the one car that they have. Doesn't matter how much money they make. Can't have two cars. That gives up control. Results in weak men like Steven Crowder. It results in terrified women and children going through trauma. It results in sex slaves in Romania. Just remember what the end of this looks like, what this pipeline results in, and make sure when you come across somebody that has fallen for this grift, make sure they are reminded of what kind of life they're building for themselves. Because if they follow everything Steven Crowder says to do, their life will look exactly like Steven Crowder's, except for all the fame and money. And they should ask themselves if that's something they really want. See what y'all have to say.